Hello, Internet. I am Chris Reynolds, Senior Developer Advocate at Pantheon, and there's been a lot of talk recently about AI. I think that it's hard to, I don't know, metaphorically throw a stone at something and not hit a conversation about AI. I don't know where that metaphor is going. But anyway, we're going to talk about AI today, and we're going to be talking about AI from some folks that you might recognize from a little plugin called Elementor. Elementor has been working on a tool called Angie for quite a while, actually. And they were demoing it. If you were at WordCamp US last year, you might have seen a demo. We had them at our booth. And we're going to have Miriam and Shilo on to talk about Angie. So, welcome, Miriam and Shilo. And why don't you introduce yourselves and what you do at Elementor?
Okay, well, thanks for having us. We're excited to be here, and thank you for your flexibility on the timing. We appreciate that. So my name is Miriam Schwab. I'm head of WordPress at Elementor. I've been with the company for it's like 3.5 years, something like that. After they acquired a startup I co-founded called Stratic. And I act as a liaison between Elementor and the broader WordPress ecosystem and community on many levels. It's very interesting work that I do. So that's a bit about me.
I'll introduce myself. My name is Shilo. I lead the product of AI, Angie, as you mentioned, since I joined Elementor 7.5 years ago, I think, when we were young plugin. And since then, I managed a lot of areas, product areas, such as the editor, such as Stratic with Miriam. And since 2023, I lead the AI initiatives inside Elementor. And now we're talking about Angie, so it's really a real excitement to do so.
So you've been talking about AI in the within Elementor for a long time, and AI is now obviously there's tools that are being built into WordPress core. Talk about the relationship between both you doing your own sort of independent research and then also connecting that back to what the things that core is doing.
So I'll just mention that Shilo and the team, they basically, when OpenAI was released in I don't know, what was it, like November 2022 or something like that, Elementor took a very bold decision to kind of, in a way, stop what we were doing and think about where Elementor fits into this new AI era. And how can we make sure that we're developing tools and integrations that bring the most value to our users? And so it was from that point that Elementor started building out AI tooling for our products, specifically for the editor to start, and then some other tools along the way. Because we started so early, we were limited by the capabilities of AI at the time. So there was a lot of effort made to kind of work around that, and also a lot of learning, obviously, because everyone had to learn. And because of that kind of trial by fire, the team just gained a lot of knowledge about leveraging AI to get the best results, and particularly as it developed and went along. And then eventually came to Angie, which is a big focal point for us for AI. And I'll let Shilo talk about that.
Yeah. So again, and on Angie's angle, we're working for the past half a year, which is way before every vendor started talking about assistant inside WordPress. So it's something that we've built and we saw where it goes. Just as Miriam mentioned, we started with content generation inside the editor. We created images, code, and texts directly inside the editor, but it's not enough. We then went ahead and improved and created more sections and content generation that relates directly to Elementor. But again, it's not the full experience. And then we went ahead and created the ability to plan websites with the site planner, another feature that we introduced. And when people finally got a fully functioning WordPress website, then they needed again the continuity of work with AI and other tools that enhance their capabilities. This is the reason why we went ahead and started Angie. Angie is there to assist the professional web creator in every step of their web creation process. And if you recall, when we met in the WordCamp US, Angie focused on basically managing the website and doing stuff on your behalf for productivity. I think since then, we'll talk about it in a bit, we focused and pivoted on making sure Angie provides value where it's needed. I think this is the most important part of building AI products. So as you mentioned, AI is everywhere. You can throw a stone and get AI from there. Now, as we see WordPress 7 being progressed, we see connectors and we see abilities, API being exposed, and MCP adapter being integrated. Not yet, but it will be integrated. We will read resources and integrate the capabilities from there. But we'll talk about Angie and how it works soon.
I'll just add to that, sorry, about the WordPress integration. So when our team started building out AI for Elementor to start, so all of this, the recent developments for WordPress core, they weren't even in a twinkle in anyone's eye. It wasn't even being talked about. So the team actually had to reinvent, or actually invent the wheel on many levels to create the tools, expose them, MCP servers, all these things that didn't exist. As WordPress core has progressed and is integrating more with WordPress, but also in better ways, so we now can start looking at how we integrate with that as well. And also that has, over the last few years of developing AI for Elementor, the development has actually become AI for WordPress. So obviously we know Elementor really well, so AI will work well with Elementor, but tools like Angie work really well in WordPress in general. You don't have to use Elementor for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've got a couple screens here. Whose screen am I showing? You can talk about, since we've been talking a lot, talk about what we're doing.
I'll start.
Okay, great.
Okay, so just to give context to what we're going to be showing you, we just wanted to share a bit about our vision behind Angie and the vision of AI for WordPress. So, sorry. Okay, so I think a very big question that many people have and that we've all been asking ourselves is what's WordPress's status in an AI era when everyone's vibe coding and and that's gaining traction? Where does that leave WordPress, and what value does WordPress bring in this new environment of AI coding? So first of all, as we know, WordPress is 42% of the web. It's about 100 million active sites. The scale and the impact on the internet is outsized. The decisions that we make in this ecosystem of WordPress, whether it's us or other players, has a very large impact on the rest of the web. So where do we do with that? Where does that go? So we think, the way that we see it is that WordPress brings a lot to the table that, at least in their current format and approach, AI, or a lot of AI vibe coding tools, don't bring to the table. First of all, WordPress is battle tested. It's been around for over 20 years. It's got an infrastructure and architecture that just stands the test of time. If you've been around long enough, like us, we've seen WordPress's demise prophesied over and over again. Now it's going to die. No, now it's going to die. And now it is possible that at some point something will come along that will really potentially be the end of WordPress, but it doesn't happen. It keeps not happening. And we don't think it's going to happen now. What WordPress is very good at, because of its open source nature, its extensibility, and the very robust ecosystem around it of contributors, community members, and companies, just like in the past, WordPress is going to evolve and adapt and even lead in some ways in this AI era. So what does that mean? Architecture and reliability. Vibe coding, like a prompt to something, that can work really well. There's definitely a lot of good use cases for that. But once you have launched something, what happens next? What happens on what we call day two? It's usually these types of things. Some things really are set it and forget it, and that's great. Get it up and running, throw it out into the internet or whatever, or create an app, and that's fine. But if the idea is to continue to develop it, add functionality, add content, grow it from a business perspective, traffic perspective, usability, accessibility, all of that, SEO, GEO, whatever you want to call it now, it's hard. React apps, which a lot of these vibe coded apps are, they're not great for SEO, crawlability, and accessibility. They have limitations. So WordPress's architecture brings a lot of reliability that you can trust that, okay, I built this thing and it will continue to work for me and grow with me on day 2, 3, and onwards. Data ownership, big thing. This is one of the aspects of WordPress that has helped it continue to win all these years, which is that I built something with WordPress, it's totally mine. I want to put it here, I put it here. I want to put it there, I can put it there. I want to put it on a Raspberry Pi sitting in the corner, I can do that, and now actually WordPress has this interesting new thing that they launched, which is run WordPress in your browser. Whatever purpose that is, you can do it. And nobody can say that they own your content, that you have to license something. It's just all free to use and it's open source. Digital sovereignty, which is a big concern, particularly in Europe these days. With WordPress, you're done. You're good. Put it wherever you want and manage it however you want. In these vibe-coded tooling applications and platforms, a lot of them, you are in that platform. It's very hard to get out of it and to really own your stuff. Open source culture. One of the things that I think has led WordPress to reach the scale of 42% of the web is this culture of sharing development, sharing knowledge, sharing experience, and then everyone building on top of each other, which compounds what the ecosystem overall can bring. So we build Elementor, then someone creates an integration with WooCommerce that we didn't even think anyone would need, and then that brings more users to Elementor and to WooCommerce, and we didn't even have to create a partnership with WooCommerce for that to happen. Those kinds of things happen in an open source culture. People don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's something out there already. In the vibe coding world, I'm vibe coding that thing, you're vibe coding that thing. Well, maybe we could have just vibe coded it once, saved on resources also, by the way, save the plan a little bit, and then each of us take it and tweak it from there. WordPress is built to be that, and with AI in the picture, will continue to be that. And now, of course, with WP Core AI, where they're building out the rails for WordPress to be really AI ready, making AI a core part of the experience, which will be released in WordPress version 7 in a few weeks at WordCamp Asia. And once that's out there, I'm excited to see what people will develop on it. And of course, we have Angie, where we're already bringing AI into the WordPress experience, and we are looking forward to integrating with the core rails, like I called it, of the core AI, and then seeing what people build off of Angie. Taking that extensible culture that actually also served Elementor over the years. We have a very large micro ecosystem around Elementor of add-ons. So what will people build on top of Angie, on top of WordPress, on top of AI? I think we're going to see a lot of innovation, and WordPress is really set up for that. So that's just what I wanted to say about the context of WordPress and AI. Now Shilo will talk about Angie Code.
Sure. So as mentioned before, when talking about Angie as an assistant that can help you multiply your workflow, this is something that can work, but it's not when trying it out and putting it to the real life test. It's not the thing that you would use on every day or on every website. As I see it, when talking about websites in the era of AI, websites will the level of AI generated websites will start being an average of every website will look pretty much the same, will have the same framework of a look and feel. One is generated by this framework and one is generated by another, but it will all look the same. The ability to stand out for your customers, for your needs, is the thing that you will invest in. And if you want your business, your website, your presence, online presence to stand out and to get more traction or attention, you need to have uniqueness. And since then, we try to crack this to see how it works, what will work best. And we come up with Angie Code. Angie Code is the assistant that sits right next to you, and you just prompt your way, ask it what you want to do, and it will do it for you inside WordPress. The open source nature that Miriam described is something that I think is helping everyone in WordPress and in using Angie to stand out, because you can customize your way. And if you can just click or share my screen, I can do it as well. Great. So I can just prompt my way to create customization to WordPress admin, to create customizations to Elementor widgets, to extend and create some custom Gutenberg blocks, to create apps, quizzes, whatever you like. You can just prompt your way out of it. Okay, it's something that amplifies you as a web creator and can bring you power that once before you needed to hire someone or needed to invest a lot of hours. You just get it in seconds. So this is basically Angie code. This is the new focus of Angie code, and we'll see it in a bit. But before diving into what Angie can do and can generate and see the actual outcomes, I'd like to talk a bit on how it works, because it's also really interesting. When, again, this is a half a year published product, it's there on the shelf with pivots and tweaks, but it works like this. You have the user, which client runs on your browser. You install Angie as a plugin, and then Angie works with MCP framework, MCP concept of Model Context Protocol, which Anthropic led. And Angie creates the framework for you to integrate to your WordPress website, to the plugins via SDK that Angie exposes. And it's equipped with built-in tools such as searching the web, navigating the WordPress, reading information, knowledge bases, resources, and more. And of course, it can also have a storage unit, what I call it code snippets, that you can store all of the artifacts that it created and use it, activate them, and manage them safely. So as mentioned, user requests a prompt, as you can see in the diagram. Angie analyzes it. Either it's the code aspect, the manage, which all the assistant area, or agents, which a thing that we are working on and will be also something that we will release in the future. It then communicates, interprets the request, connects it with tools from this MCP servers or tools that it got, and reads resources that are relevant to this operation, and then activates the relevant tools, get the information, and responds to the user. This is how it communicates and how it works. And we can build a lot of things using it, this process. You can build Elementor widgets, create everything you want to do. You can either share a visual reference, create from a single prompt, XOR prompt, or either just submit a URL and ask Angie to take reference from there. You can extend almost everything, and everything is manageable and customizable, because we're not building the outcome of the website. We're building building blocks professionals can use and reuse across their websites or in this website. For example, I can create a new typography animation that I like to use, or new element that creates some, I don't know, maybe accordion that switches images right next to it. And this compound widget is a group of elements and that behaves just the way you want it to act. In addition, you can create admin snippets. Admin snippets are ability to customize WordPress admin, add new admin screen, create new admin dashboard, create custom user role, extend some capabilities that WordPress got integrated and built in. And again, the open source nature allows your imagination to thrive. The third aspect and third piece that it can create is interactive website snippets. And when we call it like this, we refer to snippets that run through CSS, JavaScript, PHP, and can create some custom mouse animations, cursor ones, or can create some customization to the front end, such as when hovering on an image, enlarge it by this and this, or do this and this effect. Okay, you can also create everything with it, and it's global for everyone to use. Two last artifacts that you can create is one, visual apps, which means no more restraints to any framework or builders. You want something that is standing out. You want some quiz that looks good and pulls data dynamically from your website. You can do it. You can create games using Angie. You can create almost everything, calculators, mortgage calculator, whatever you want, you can create it using the visual apps. And last but not least, because you can, again, do anything, is create custom post types, fields, meta boxes, taxonomies, whatever WordPress exposes as API and can be extendable, Angie can do. So I can show it in action. And again, it's multi-model input. You can also either prompt your way, add screenshots, or give it URL references, and Angie can search the web, access the file, read the information, and analyze it, and then provide some more clear results. And one last thing when talking about it, and I think we can see it in our Pantheon website, is safety. Safety first is an approach that we want to take, and we take seriously when talking about code. Questions before I dive in?
Nothing coming up in the chat. I'm anxious to see what you were talking about with like being able to manage user roles is huge. That's definitely something that I know that like a lot of people need to do, but that's one of those capabilities, one of those parts of WordPress where if you don't have a plugin or you don't have the right plugin, it's kind of opaque, right? Like it's not just a thing that I can do as an administrator of my site. I need to have a particular workflow or plugin to do that. So just being able to like ask Angie to create a user role or to create a particular capability and then assign that to, you know, a set of users based on a criteria, that's huge.
So let's start by doing it. I toggled Angie from the top bar, a place that you can see whatever you want. It's located inside the WordPress admin the top bar, or in Gutenberg in the top bar. I'll show it in a bit, or in Elementor in the top bar. Everywhere you can find it there. It's right next to you and accompanies you when you want to build whatever you want to build. Let's ask Angie to create a new custom user role called content editor based on editor role, but don't allow manage media. Okay. For example, just some idea that I want to add, and we can ask it to do it. What Angie will do now, as you can see, it will read its resources that explains it how to create custom code snippets, how to learn and how to implement them, and then create its the to-do list. To-do list is a plan for it to learn on how it works. It creates a new snippet file for the role. It adds the relevant PHP code to register the role, and then it checks for any execution errors if it happens. Here you can see the logic of Angie, how it thinks, because we are using models. And one note about the models we are using behind the scenes, we are using models based on the need and of the request. We learned that some models work better for some results, for some artifacts, and some other works better for other. So we manipulate and navigate the requests based on this area. Once Angie is created the snippet, you can see that it had an issue here to create the PHP code. It retried, and now it created the PHP code in the snippets correctly. Soon it will wrap up and ask me content media created. Users with this role cannot access the media library or upload files, and hidden the media menu from these users. Once I'll reload this page, I can see in the user, I go to users, and let's say I want to add one new user. I'll go ahead and see I have the content editor here. For demonstration purposes, I don't want to switch sign in, sign out, so I won't do it, but you have to take my word. And regardless, if you can see, we are currently in a different mode of view in the dashboard. If you can see, there is a pink wrapper that wraps the entire frame of my website. This indicates that we are in test mode. Again, when talking about code and code snippets, this is something that is a bit problematic. AI generates code. You don't want untested code to face visitors. What we did, we created a mechanism that emulates a staging environment. It basically takes the code, creates it on your server, and then with a cookie or whatever, assign an ability just for you to test this code. If something broke, visitors and the website is not affected. And if something broke, Angie can fix it as well. Once you're satisfied with the results, you can publish it to live and then see it. But let's see how it works and how it behaves if I go to the snippet screen under Angie, you can see that you have the content editor role snippet that it created. And the editor role created has all the relevant information, all the relevant code you can customize, and again, switch it on or off. This is the code that it generated to allow it. Now, if I'll log out of it, I won't be able to see it unless I publish and push it to production. Once I publish it to live, the code status will go from test to live environment, and then it's available for everyone to use and see.
So it's actually writing PHP code like in files that are like now in your repository. So on Pantheon, that means that I'm assuming that it would be like you'd have it in SFTP mode, so that you could write those files, but then you would be able to actually like send it off to a test environment and then actually make sure that it works before. That's actually, yeah, that's really cool.
But because we are not, because we are in the WordPress website, not in another layer, we want to create code safely. So we use this mechanism for doing it. Let's see an additional case that can help us understand better how Angie works. And pardon me, but I'll go and skip directly to Elementor. And I'll go inside Elementor and test out a prompt that I want to check and see how it works. I can ask Angie to create almost any widget or functionality that I want to create. So for example, I can create an image reveal menu, but let's say I don't know what exactly I want to do. We already integrated prompt library that you can toggle on and see some examples from all the categories that we discussed. Either Elementor widget, in here you can have a lot of cases and a lot of examples, and I can just pick one, image reveal menu widget. It will automatically insert the prompt directly to the prompt box.
If I just want to talk about the prompt library. So one of the challenges with AI, which a lot of people face, is like the blank page of endless possibility. Where do I even start? What should I even think of doing, right? So having a prompt library has a few advantages, and we're building it out, and we hope to see community contributions as well. One is giving you inspiration and direction. Look, this thing works, try it out. And that can hopefully trigger people's like other ideas, and that they'll continue using it. But also, like I mentioned in the beginning, reusing people's knowledge. So, someone created a prompt, it worked really well, they shared it there. Why do I have to like go through a whole iterative process with AI when I can just learn from this person's experience and take it in and then customize it, tweak it, build it so that it specifically suits my maybe particular needs. So we hope that people find that useful.
Prompt engineering is a whole new like discipline of like,
right.
Rather than like asking AI questions as if you're having a conversation like us, like it helps a lot to get better output if you give it a whole bunch of context and like, this is the type of thing and this is what I'm expecting and this is what I want you to do, and like be really specific. So there's a whole like art to that. And so having a library of pre-existing prompts that have been like sort of tested makes a lot of sense, just even from
a time perspective, or also to have that conversation, you need to have sometimes a certain level of knowledge to push back or challenge what the AI is doing, or make sure that it's doing it in the way that is best practices. So not everyone has that, and that's fine. There's a lot of users who just want to create content or want to have stuff work on their site. So with that kind of with the skipping the iterative, prompt engineering process, it can help them really like move forward with their sites and hopefully have more success with it.
Exactly. Well, and you all know as well as I have. I mean, you've been using these tools for since 2022, and so have I. So like, there's a whole bunch of learning that goes along with interacting with these tools for that long. That like, if you're just trying it out, if you just installed this plugin today and you never interacted with AI before, like there's just a lot of like baseline knowledge that you don't have yet.
Absolutely. I see that we all live in a kind of AI bubble. It's a big bubble with a lot of people in it, but there's a lot of people who aren't in our areas of, our professions or, what we work or touch on. And I see like from talking to people who aren't in our space, they're afraid to use AI. They're not sure what they can use it for. Will they break things? Like they're not, a lot of people aren't taking that first step. The more we can almost spoon feed them so that they take those first steps and then they gain confidence, the more they'll start to adopt AI in their workflows.
So Angie just finished creating the image reveal menu, which is a prompt that was showed in the prompt library, as you mentioned. And now I can go ahead and test it out. I entered the test mode. Once I entered it, I can scroll to the bottom when I see Angie widgets, and then I can just drag in the widget I'd like. And again, the widget is customizable. I can customize almost everything. I can change the name of it. I can change the image that shows on the background. I can change, let's see, Brazil doesn't have image. I can add some image that resembles Brazil, and it will show up when it's doing it. And of course, usually the artifacts are responsive, so you can use them across or your websites. Once I did it, of course, you can customize the text colors, the hover activity, typography, whatever you like to match your tone and voice or brand style. Once I finish with it, I can publish. Once I hit publish, Angie identifies that this page has a widget, unpublished widget, and it pushes it to live environment and publishes the page for me to use across the website. And again, the possibilities are endless. You can create almost everything you'd like using Angie, extend existing widgets. Let's say you want to create a custom form, a custom action after submit for your form, or can add custom field type, can add more capabilities to existing widgets. Name it, you can do it. Ask Angie, and it will do. Again, AI can make mistakes, of course, but it's something that you can iterate and refine until it works.
So this approach where Angie doesn't just implement what you asked for, but also creates all of the controls and configurations there for you to tweak it manually is what we see as like a hybrid approach. Everything doesn't have to be done with an LLM, like maybe the heavy lifting to start. But after that, if I want to tweak it, why do I have to use an LLM? The advantage of giving more control to people is there's a few things about it. One is some people just want more control and they don't want to have to beg the LLM to get it right. But also if someone's using tokens, they don't necessarily want to spend their tokens on changing the color of the font when they could just click into the widget that they're probably familiar with and just change the color themselves. So this sets them up for using AI where it really brings value, and then giving them more manual control where they might as well, and it's better for them, and it's better, it's for resource usage, etc.
Yeah, this is the thing that I was talking about or thinking about in I gave a presentation last week at the WP26 event, and the idea of approval fatigue of you get working with Claude Code or even Claude or any anything where it's just I did a whole bunch of stuff. Is that click OK to approve the thing that I did on your behalf without you actually interacting with the thing? That's great. That's cool. But then you're just essentially signing off on assuming that the AI did the thing that you want, and then if it didn't do the thing that you want, you need to go back and
then go through that whole process again.
Right, exactly.
And then approve it. Okay, you're almost there now, but just fix that one last thing. Yeah, and it definitely causes a certain form of fatigue.
And I definitely feel like the approach or an approach I would appreciate, and so I like the fact that you've got it built in here is that it gives you just enough to get up to the point where it's okay, now I'm handing it off to you and you finish the rest of the thing because that's your job as the human. I'm just the assistant. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. And again, the possibilities are endless because you can create custom behaviors and things that you didn't had until now. For example, I can create another capabilities of add featured image to the editor, to the posts view, or add a feature that searches for unused images across my website throughout all of the media items that I have, and helps me identify and delete unused ones in a visual interface. Let's say I want to create child themes. Instead of just create child theme for me, I can create a functionality that adds a button on each theme, create a child theme, and then it copies everything and does whatever you like. You can work with APIs. Just mention the API want to implement, and it will do it for you. For For example, weather API, location, etc. Everything should work if you specify and refine what you need to see. If you have any examples that you want to see, you want to see it acts and so want to see it work,
Well,
let us know.
you mentioned the site builder. I'm interested in looking at what that how that works. But also, I'm thinking about like, and probably it's like maybe you haven't thought about this, but I'm already thinking about like Claude. I've been using Claude a lot recently, in particular because it has really good deep integrations with other stuff.
Mhm.
It's able to connect to other things, and it's able to like read all of the things on my Google Drive, or it's able to read everything in my Notion. And so I'm thinking about like ways that like is it something that you're thinking about, or maybe I will plant the idea in your brain and you will think about it after today, of like connecting Angie to external sources for stuff like that, like being able to connect Angie to Notion or Google Docs or something, like as an like for a source of content or inspiration or notes or like whatever, like, so yeah, stuff like that.
So in the initial days of Angie, the thing that we saw most significant significance it was the integrations,
Mm-hmm.
things that you can create and integrate more tools, because this is how MCP world and how AI world behaves. You can connect every connector that you'd like, and the brain, the assistant can trigger and activate it, because basically we have processes of understanding the request, some knowledge that you can learn from, create a plan, and then execute these tools. So given the tools, of course, yeah, we already implemented this kind of capability. This is something that we are working on behind the scenes at the moment. We tried a lot of features, but none of them are yet ripe enough and stable enough. I assume it's something that we will release in the eventually for people to connect. It has its own not limitations, but pitfalls in the way. We want to make sure they are aligned, and then we will make it available for everyone to use. But yes, integrations is part of the tools. And I'll say another thing: we are relying on the infrastructure, the Rails that AI core team adds to read from. So tools that are inside WordPress will register their abilities and their MCP directly inside there, and then we can read from them. And then the extensions and capabilities are endless. And external tools can be connected via an any MCP integration that we can allow. Yeah, this will make it much more powerful. Let's see what happened. If I'll go to themes, now I have open theme details, and now I should have here somewhere the ability to create child theme. Let's see if it will work. And again, from time to time, things are not working because AI. Appearance, themes, click on theme and open its details. Look for a create child theme button on right corner, and it should automatically. So I don't see it here, but I can ask it to fix it. Again, as mentioned, I can see it, fix it, and it will do it. Again, the iteration is some important thing that's worth mentioning. In the meanwhile, we can still discuss while the machine works.
Yes, live demos and also working with AI live.
I would say people who demo live are very brave.
Yeah, for sure. Well, one of the things that I'm like, I want to make sure that like anybody who's watching this now or live or in the future seeing this knows is that like, a thing that we talked about yesterday when we were sort of prepping for this live stream is that you can just download Angie and use it today. It's not paywalled, it's not gated, it's just a free plugin.
Yeah, exactly. It's in the WordPress plugin repo, just like another 60,000 plugins are there. Search for Angie, you'll find it, and you can just install it and use it and test it out. We'd love to see your feedback. So when you're using Angie in the chat, you can see there's like a thumb up, thumb down on results and on the experience. Please thumb up if you liked it. We obviously want to know that, but also thumb down, and then it gives you the opportunity to give feedback, like specific feedback. It didn't do this, didn't do that. Feedback really helps us continuously improve the experience for everyone. So please try it out. It's free. Might as well get AI in your site without having to hook things up, right? That's another thing that can be kind of overwhelming and intimidating about AI, which is, okay, I want to start using it, but oh my goodness, people are talking about all these LLMs. What should I do? And on an MCP, how do I create an MCP? What is that? How do I connect it? Well, that's not for everybody. It is for a lot of people, and some people are doing it that way. But if you just want to get up and running with AI and start experiencing it in your WordPress site, you can just install Angie, and it's there with you. Something else interesting about Angie, it's kind of obvious, but I'll just mention it anyways, is that because it's purpose-built for WordPress, it knows WordPress really well. So, and it's sitting there and has the context. So if you're going through your admin and you're, let's say, on the post page, you will see in Angie that it says it knows where you are. If you select a post, it knows which post you selected. So then whatever actions you take are within the context of wherever you are.
So we did get a question in the chat. You talked about integration. Does that mean that I can extend other plugins, and how does that work?
So you can, and we already have a number of plugins that have extended Angie. And if you use Angie, you can, and you have that plugin installed, and it's not one of ours, then you can manage that plugin through Angie. We have an SDK for that, and we're really excited. So we have, I don't want to forget anyone. The events calendar, like a bunch of Stellar WP plugins integrated with Angie already. So like if you have their plugin installed and use Angie, you can create events, for example. The events calendar, Give WP, LearnDash to a certain extent. WS Form, Mark Westgard's form integrates with Angie. Crocoblock. Shilo, who am I forgetting?
Crocoblock's Jet Engine, of course.
Yeah.
Have Amelia.
Amelia, that's right. And Updraft, the backup plugin, so they started developing an integration. I can't remember if they released it or not, but they are very intent on making sure that their plugin works with Angie as well. And we invite more people. We can share the SDK and that information with them, and test it out. Create a few tools for Angie that people can use. Let's say your top most used ones or whatever to start. And we're soon going to be launching a site for developers, and on there we'll also highlight the integration. So if you integrate with Angie, we will highlight you there.
But also, if it is writing PHP code and it does know about WordPress and the code, I'm assuming your specific WordPress, not just WordPress generally, but it would also know about your specific WordPress, like what plugins you have installed, like. Theoretically, I'm assuming, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm assuming that I could ask Angie to say, hey, I've got this plugin, I want to do this other thing that's not necessarily in the plugin for my site. I want to implement this particular feature that the plugin doesn't do, but based on the thing that the plugin does. And then Angie would be able to help out with that as well.
Basically, yes. Again, with extensions, as being able to extend items, it can search the web or learn from its own resources on how to integrate to the specific plugin and extend it. For example, one good example is WooCommerce. WooCommerce has tons of features you can customize, and I urge you, the prompt library, to try out the examples that we give in there, because there are some amazing ideas on showing a product grid that is inline edited, or ability to see stock management better, or to see a recent sales widget, or to customize and add more properties to products, or shipping zone, classes, taxes, whatever you like, you can do it. Of course, this is one option. You can do it for WordPress core. You can do it for any plugin. And again, Elementor is just one case, Elementor editor. You can add and customize existing capabilities, functions, widgets, controls. You can almost do anything with it. So again, this is just we are planting the seed and providing the tools for people to use. We are eager to see what people will do with it, because the possibilities are, again, endless.
one of the things that I think people are like find really exciting about this vibe coding era is that I have a specific need, I can build it. Now I have a one-woman app, and that is great for me, right? And one of the great things about WordPress always was that you could get pretty specific about your needs between the 60,000 plugins and the extensibility of WordPress. If I had a need, I could find a developer to develop it for me, but that still was friction, which would make people hesitate, budget, this and that. Now, if I have a specific need and nobody's created a solution for it because it's so specific, I can now do it with Angie code. So I'll actually give you an example of something that just recently happened. Someone asked in one of the WordPress communities about a particular customization they wanted to do for Elementor that's very specific and we don't support. So someone on our team took it and built out a solution with Angie. And then we sent him the prompt and said, this worked on our end, test it out and see if you can do that. And if it solves your needs. And it did. And that was really cool because it shows the power of Angie for rather than this guy doing somersaults in the air to try to solve his problem or like his need for his particular site, Angie developed the solution for him. And ta-da, he was good. And in the past, that would have been just like a pain point. And then he might have been angry at us. Why don't you do this thing? Well, we can't do solve the needs of just 22 million sites using Elementor. So that's 22 million opinions, So that was pretty cool to see.
So just a clear note, when we tried testing Angie, one thing the test that I gave it is to go to GitHub, the Elementor's GitHub. When you see all the feature requests there, search for the most wanted ones and tried giving them prompt to Angie and actually referring the GitHub ticket, and it did it. It added some bunny CDN video provider to the videos widget and did a lot of things that, again, I'm not sure that Elementor would invest in doing such a specific integration or tool. So this is one thing that created. And another important thing that Miriam mentioned when we talked about the era of AI in WordPress is the economic of prompts and help save more trees, let's call it like this, help save the planet. Giving prompts is an example of how to prompt. But I think that one of the things that people try out and the first thing that they ask us is, okay, how can I use it in my next website? So this is something that we actually work on as we speak, the ability to create and sync, to take the newly created snippets that Angie created and sync them to your cloud library, and then reuse them across your websites, your projects, and share them. So this is the first one. You can just reuse it for yourself. Next, we will allow to share with others. This will help spread the abilities and ability to learn what Angie can do and use useful snippets across websites. And of course, this also allows the second thing that people ask is, okay, I made a change and I asked Angie to make a change for my widget, but I don't like it. I want to go back. At the moment, it's not possible. And thing that you can see in every vibe coding platform, it did a change. Okay, now go back to the change that it did because it didn't do exactly what you wanted. So we are working on revisions mechanism as well that will help you go back to the previous versions of every snippet that it created. So it's a fully robust end-to-end solution for creating code inside WordPress. It knows your project, it knows everything. Plug and play. You don't have to worry about a thing.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds really good. I'd be excited to see the revision process because again, like you said, that's a perfect example of a gap that that AI has, and sometimes especially with Claude Code or something, it might sort of disguise the fact that it's undoing the thing, or maybe if it has access to a Git repository, it can do restage the change before. But yeah, really what it's actually doing is having to rewrite the entire thing from scratch because it doesn't have. I mean, it's a goldfish. It doesn't have a memory. It's doing things new the first time every time. Well, thank you so much, Shilo and Miriam, for coming on to our live stream. I've got the link down there for people to check out Angie. Definitely go check it out. I've played with it. I think it's really cool. I think that this is a really interesting thing for WordPress generally. And yeah, I'm excited to see more stuff about this in the future.
Thank you for having us and facilitating this conversation. It was great to be able to share what we're working on.
Super interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank everyone who's watching this live or watching this in the future time travelers, and we'll see you all on the internet.
Bye.